You think your moral ideals make you safe. They do not. They make you predictable. They make it easy to manage. You call it being a good person. Other people call it a weakness they can use. Look at your life. At work, you stay late because you do not want to look selfish. You answer messages quickly because you do not want to come across as rude. You agree with projects you hate because you do not wish to look difficult. Then you wonder why you are stuck. You are not stuck because you lack talent. You are stuck because you keep volunteering to be controlled. In your relationship, you keep proving you care. You explain your intentions. You defend your tone. You apologize for being tired. You show extra affection when you feel tension because you think warmth will fix disrespect. Then you watch attraction fade. You think you are being loyal. In reality, you are being evaluated, and you keep failing the test because you keep begging for approval in polite ways. With friends and family, you keep playing the reliable one, the one who answers, the one who shows up, the one who pays sometimes and says it is fine, the one who listens to problems that never end. They call you good. You hear that word and you relax. That word is not praise. That word is a leash. Put your phone face down and listen. This is not comfort. This is not therapy. This is the world as it is, not as you wish it were. Nietzsche saw this long before you were born. He saw how moral language becomes a form of camouflage for weakness. He saw how people who cannot dominate directly learn to dominate indirectly. They build ideals, they build rules, they build goodness. Then they use that goodness to shame you, to steer you, to soften you, to make you feel guilty for having a spine. You have been trained to be helpful, obedient, and agreeable, not powerful. Useful men are easy to keep around. Powerful men are expensive. So the system teaches you to worship ideals that turn you into a tool. I am going to give you 6 power shifts. 6 truths that change how you see moral ideals. Most people will not stay. They will hear the first truth and leave because it insults the identity they are protecting. That is fine. The herd always runs from mirrors. But if you stay, you separate. If you ignore this, you remain controlled, managed, and handled by people who smile while doing so. If you wait, you stop being handled. You start handling. If this hits you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments to mark the day your mindset changed. Now listen closely. The first mask you need to see is the mask you wear on your own face. You keep thinking morality is about being clean. It is about being safe in others' eyes. The moment you care about being seen as good, you hand over authority. You accepted their frame. You stepped into their court. You are being evaluated instead of evaluating. You start explaining. You start reacting. You start performing. And the person judging you does not even need power. Your need for approval gives them power. You see it at work. Your manager gives you vague feedback. We need someone more proactive. You need to be more of a team player. You could ask for specifics and boundaries. Instead, you smile and say, "Of course I understand." Then you work harder, longer, and louder. You volunteer. You send updates. You try to be good. You think effort will earn respect. Effort earns extraction. Common behavior creates weakness here. You respond to unclear standards by over-delivering. You treat confusion as a moral test. You act like you must prove your goodness through sacrifice. That feels noble. It feels mature. It feels like a character. It is a weakness with a clean shirt. The inversion is brutal. What feels good is weak. What feels cold is effective. The effective move is not to prove you are proactive. The effective move is to control the frame of evaluation. You ask calmly, "Define proactive for this role." Then you stop. You let silence work. You make them speak first. You make them show their standards. If they cannot, you learn the truth. They are not evaluating your work. They are controlling your behavior with fog. Nietzsche would call your over-explaining a symptom of slave training, not because you are a slave in chains, but because your instincts have been domesticated. You have learned to seek permission. You have learned to fear being disliked. You have learned to treat authority as something that sits outside you. So you chase moral approval because it is the only power you think you can earn. The moment you stop chasing, the dynamic changes. You stop being the man who tries. You become the man who decides. You stop asking, "Am I doing enough?" and you start asking, "Is this worth my time?" That one question flips dominance. Now they are being evaluated instead of evaluating. You will feel pressure in your chest when you do this. That pressure is not dangerous. That pressure is withdrawal. You are withdrawing from the approval economy, and people who benefit from your obedience will react. They will call you selfish. They will call you difficult. They will call you arrogant. Notice the pattern. Their morality shows up exactly when their control is threatened. You accepted their frame for years. You let them define team player as available. You let them define proactive as anxious. You let them define leadership as absorbing more work. That is why you feel drained and unseen. You are not invisible because you are small. You are invisible because you are compliant. Now look at your relationships. You think moral ideals protect love. They protect control. You have been told that love means openness, constant reassurance, and endless emotional labor. So you talk, you explain, you clarify, you respond fast, you chase closure, you chase peace, you chase agreement. Here is what happens in real life. She goes quiet for a day. Your mind starts spinning. You send a message that is mature. You say, "Hey, just checking in, is everything okay?" Then another. Then you add, "If I did something wrong, tell me." Then you add a paragraph about your intentions. You think you are being caring. What you are doing is handing her authority over your nervous system. Common behavior creates weakness here. You treat her mood as a referendum on your worth. You chase approval through communication. You think explaining equals strength. It does not. Explaining is often submission disguised as honesty. The inversion is simple. Warmth in the wrong moment is weakness. Distance at the right moment is dominance. When someone withdraws and you chase, you confirm that they control the frame. You step into their court. You let them set the rules. You let them decide when contact resumes and on what terms. Nietzsche would not tell you to be cruel. He would ask you to stop lying to yourself about why you are good. You are not always good because you are virtuous. You are often good because you fear losing access. That fear is weakness, and weakness invites tests. Silence is not punishment. Silence is power. Silence is the moment you stop performing. Silence is the moment you stop begging to be understood. You do not need to announce silence. You stop. You let absence speak. You let scarcity create value. You let the other person feel the cost of their behavior without your emotional labor cushioning it. You will also notice a standard test. Someone says, "You are acting differently." It sounds like a question. It is a last attempt. The weak response is to reassure. The strong response is to hold the frame. "I am fine." Then silence. You do not negotiate your inner world for their comfort. When you do this, you will see something interesting. Either the other person returns with respect because they realize you are not controllable, or they return with manipulation because they are used to managing men through guilt. In both cases, you gain information, and information is leverage. You have been taught that real men communicate. That slogan sounds noble. It is often a trap. A man who communicates from a position of need is not communicating. He is pleading. A man who communicates from a position of control uses fewer words, cleaner words, and he does not explain his existence. People do not respect your feelings. They respect your boundaries. They respect your standards. They appreciate your willingness to walk away. They sense it without you having to say it. That is why your morality should never be your identity. Morality is a tool. Identity is authority. Now watch how moral ideals mask weakness inside your own family. This is where the leash is tightest because the guilt is oldest. You have a mother who says, "I just want you to be happy," while disapproving of every move that makes you more independent. You have a father who respects toughness, but only when it looks like sacrifice. You have siblings who call you when they need money or a favor, and they disappear when you need anything. You keep showing up because you want to be the good son, the good brother, the good man. You tell yourself it is loyalty. You tell yourself you have values, but there is a difference between values and conditioning. Values are chosen, conditioning is installed. Common behavior creates weakness here. You keep saying yes to requests that drain you. You keep explaining why you cannot help. Instead of just stating the boundary, you keep offering excuses because you want them to approve of your refusal. That is not a boundary. That is a negotiation. The inversion is again brutal. The kind refusal is weak when it is soft. The cold refusal is firm when it is clean. You say, "I cannot do that." Then you stop talking. You do not sell the boundary. You do not defend it. You do not fill the silence. You let them feel it. Silence is control. Nietzsche would call your family guilt a form of moral debt, not the kind you repay with money, but the kind you repay with your autonomy. They give you a story, "We sacrificed for you." Then they collect payments forever. You accept the frame. You become the debtor. You act like independence is betrayal. That is how weakness is preserved across generations. People who cannot control you through force will control you through ideals. Family first. Respect your elders. Be humble. Those phrases are not always wrong. They become weapons when they are used to keep you small. The moment you notice that, you stop worshipping the words and you start watching the behavior. Here is the test. When you set a boundary, watch who becomes offended. The offended person is not offended by your words. They are offended by your autonomy. They are offended because your compliance was part of their plan. Your morality was convenient for them. You do not need conflict. You need clarity. Clarity is dominance. Clarity is saying less and meaning it. The weaker man argues for his boundary. The stronger man states it and moves on. Now step into the public arena, the attention economy, social media, work politics, group chats. This is where moral ideals become performance. You see men posting about loyalty, integrity, respect, and empathy. They sound clean. They also sound desperate. They are asking to be seen as good because they are afraid to be seen as strong. Common behavior creates weakness here. You adopt the herd's moral vocabulary. So you will not be attacked. You signal the correct opinions. You laugh at the right jokes. You nod at the right outrage. You do it because you want belonging. Belonging is a drug, and drugs make you controllable. The inversion is apparent when you are honest. The man who needs to announce his goodness is usually hiding weakness. The man who is actually strong does not need the announcement. He lives in a private frame. He does not ask the crowd for a moral certificate. Nietzsche called this the morality of the herd. People use goodness as a badge because they fear standing alone. They fear being judged. They fear being disliked, so they merge into the group and call it virtue. It feels safe. It feels righteous. It is cowardice wearing a halo. This is why the crowd loves moral outrage. Outrage gives weak people the sensation of power without the cost of action. They can attack you with words and feel superior. They can shame you and feel clean. They can punish you socially while pretending it is justice. If you want dominance, you do not fight inside their frame. You do not argue with moral mobs. You do not explain yourself to people who are not accountable. You either leave the arena or you control the terms. You speak less. You move quietly. You build leverage in private. The moment you respond emotionally to public judgment, you hand them authority. They wanted your reaction. They wanted your apology. They wanted you to perform a submission so the crowd can feel powerful. Silence breaks the ritual. Distance breaks the ritual. Scarcity breaks the ritual. Even Machiavelli understood a straightforward thing. Public morality is often a stage. But you do not need his lessons today. You only need to see the stage and stop acting like it is a temple. Now comes the moment that exposes almost every man. Accusation. Someone accuses you of being selfish, cold, disrespectful, arrogant, toxic, and ungrateful. The words change. The mechanism stays the same. They are trying to force you into a defensive position. Defense is submission. Common behavior creates weakness here. You rush to prove you're not what they said you are. You explain your intentions. You list your sacrifices. You show your receipts. You try to be understood. You try to be fair. You think fairness is a strength. Fairness is a language weak men use when they have no leverage. The inversion is the key. The moment you feel the urge to defend, you slow down. You go quiet. You look at them like you're assessing them, not yourself. You are not guilty until you accept their court. You are not on trial until you accept their authority. This is frame warfare. If you accept the accusation as a premise, you are already losing. You accepted their frame. You stepped into their court. You handed them authority. You became the one being evaluated. That is why your heart speeds up. You are not reacting to the words. You are responding to the loss of control. Nietzsche would tell you that moral accusation is often a weapon of resentment. The resentful person cannot dominate you openly, so they try to poison your self-image. They try to make your strength look like evil. They try to make your boundaries look like cruelty. They try to make your ambition look like selfishness. And if you care about being seen as good, you will fold. Here is the cold move. You do not deny fast, you disagree fast. You ask one question that forces them to define. What exactly did I do? Then you wait. Silence. If they speak in generalities, you learn they are not seeking the truth. They are seeking control. If they are specific, you can decide if the criticism matters. Either way, you remain the evaluator. Sometimes the correct response is, I disagree. Then you stop. You do not argue. You do not persuade. You do not chase. You let the discomfort sit in the room like a predator. People who rely on your explanations will panic when you stop giving them. This shows up in meetings. Someone interrupts you, then smiles and says, sorry, go ahead, but keeps doing it. The weak move is to laugh it off because you want to seem easy. You think being easy makes you liked. Being easy makes you used to it. The stronger move is calm and direct. I was not finished. Then you keep speaking. No anger, no apology, no extra words. You refuse their frame that your voice is optional. If they push again, you do not debate their intentions. You do not explain your feelings. You hold the line. You let the silence land after your sentence. Silence is not empty. Silence is pressure. Pressure creates respect. This is not being rude. This is refusing the frame. And refusing the frame is dominance. Now the final reversal is about authority itself. Most men think authority comes from titles, wealth, social proof, and status. Those help, but the core authority comes from a single source: the ability to set standards without begging for agreement. You see it in business. A client tries to negotiate your price down by saying, others charge less. A weak man explains his value. He lists features. He offers discounts. He tries to be reasonable. He thinks being fair will win. It wins nothing. It signals that your price is negotiable because your confidence is negotiable. Common behavior creates weakness here. You treat every negotiation like a moral test. You want to look cooperative. You want to look nice. You want to look flexible. Flexibility without leverage is surrender. The inversion is clean. The effective move is to hold your frame, then work with them. Silence, or this is the price. Silence. You do not need anger. You do not need speeches. You need a calm refusal. You need scarcity. You need the willingness to let them walk. This also shows up in dating. She compares you to other men. My ex would do this. Other guys would not act like that. The weak man defends. He proves he is different. He tries to earn a score. The strong man does not compete in a contest he did not enter. He holds eye contact and says, then choose them. Silence. You do not chase. You do not negotiate. You let her feel that access to you is not a right. Nietzsche would respect the man who creates value rather than begs for recognition. The man who creates does not ask the crowd to approve. He does not ask the client to validate him. He sets the terms. He takes the risk. He accepts loneliness. That is a strength. That is a strength. That is mastery. Authority is not a vibe. Authority is behavior repeated. Authority is making decisions without needing applause. Authority is being comfortable with being misunderstood. Authority is losing people who liked you only when you were useful. This is where moral ideals try to pull you back into weakness. They whisper, be humble. They whisper, do not be arrogant. They whisper, think of others. Those whispers sound noble. They are often afraid. Fear of standing alone, fear of being disliked, fear of being powerful. When you choose your standards, you become expensive. You become harder to access. You become less available. People will call it ego. Let them. Ego is not the problem. A weak ego is the problem. A man with a strong ego does not need to inflate it with attention. He operates from it. Now connect the pattern. Every moral ideal that keeps you good also keeps you controllable. Being a helpful worker, an understanding partner, a loyal family member, an agreeable friend, a fair negotiator, and the man who always explains. You call these virtues. In many cases, they are trading your power for approval. The consequences are not abstract. They are visible social invisibility. People do not ask what you want. They tell you what they need. They do not consider your time. They assume your availability. They do not fear losing you. They fear losing what you provide. You become managed instead of respected. You become assigned instead of consulted. You become tolerated, not valued. You become the man they keep around because you are stable, but they do not invest in you because you are replaceable. Replaceable is a moral man's secret nightmare. You also lose leverage in ways you do not notice at first. You cannot negotiate because you already agreed. You cannot leave because you already explained. You cannot demand because you already softened the demand. You cannot command because you trained everyone to expect requests. You keep handing away authority in small moments. Then you wonder why nobody treats you like a man with options. And the worst part is that you start policing yourself. You start feeling guilty for wanting more. You start feeling selfish for wanting silence. You start feeling cruel for setting boundaries. That is the final level of control. They do not need to punish you. You punish yourself. Nietzsche would look at that and call it internalized resentment. You have resentment turned inward. You attack your own instincts. You sabotage your own authority. You do it in the name of goodness. That is the genius of moral ideals. They make you your own correctional officer. This is not about cruelty. This is not about games. This is realism. The world rewards clarity, control, and standards. The world uses men who crave approval. The world tests men who avoid conflict. The world respects men who can sit in silence without needing to fix the room. Silence creates fear because it removes predictability. People fear what they cannot read. When you stop explaining, you stop feeding them information. When you stop reacting, you stop giving them control. When you create distance, you create authority. When you become scarce, you become valuable. Distance is not hate. Distance is a signal. It tells people, access to me is earned. Scarcity is not arrogance. Scarcity is economics. Abundance becomes cheap. You have been abundant with your attention, time, energy, and comfort. That is why you are discounted. You do not need to announce new rules. You embody them. You reply more slowly. You stop oversharing. You stop correcting every misunderstanding. You stop trying to be seen as good. You start acting like your time belongs to you. You start acting like your standards are real. Expect a backlash. The people who benefited from your softness will call you cold. The people who fed on your explanations will demand more answers. The people who use your guilt will increase this. This is the moment where men break. They return to the old role to get social peace. They choose approval over authority again. Do not confuse social peace with respect. Respect is quiet. Respect is measured. Respect does not need you to bleed for it. If someone only respects you when you are helpful, that is not respect, that is management. When you change, you will see a new split in your world. Some people will adjust because they always wanted to deal with a man, not a servant. Other people will disappear because they only liked the version of you that they could control. Let them disappear. That space is not a loss. That space is oxygen. Now you want the final truth that makes all of this uncomfortable. The moral ideals that kept you good were never neutral. They were strategies. They were survival tools for people who could not win through strength, so they tried to win through shame. They needed you to be controllable, so they trained you to worship being agreeable. Nietzsche called it weakness pretending to be virtue. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Every time someone says, "a real man would," your ears should sharpen. They are not describing reality. They are issuing a command. So here is your real-world challenge. For the next 7 days, stop explaining yourself to people who are not accountable to you. When you set a boundary, do not add a paragraph. When you decline, do not offer excuses. When you are accused, ask for specifics and then pause. When a message tries to pull you into panic, slow down and let silence do the work. You will feel the urge to fix, to smooth, to please. Do not obey the urge. Control the frame. Control your time. Control your attention. That is dominance. Watch what happens when you stop feeding every conversation. Some people will try to bait you into long talks. They will say, "Why are you like this?" They are not curious. They are probing for an opening. If you explain, you open the door. If you argue, you enter their court. If you apologize, you hand them authority. You do not give them a speech. You provide them with a boundary. "I am not discussing this." Then silence. The room will feel tense. Let it. Tension is the price of control. Weak men pay that price with their freedom. You do not need to be loud. You do not need to be rude. You need to be unmoved. You need to be the man who can sit in discomfort without begging for relief. People can feel that. They will either adjust or disappear. Both outcomes are clean. You will notice something else. The more you stop seeking approval, the more your words carry weight. Because your words are no longer requests, they are statements. Your no becomes real. Your silence becomes loud. Your presence becomes a signal. That is how authority forms. One repeated refusal to be pulled into another person's frame. If you want more of this kind of realism, you know what to do. Like the video if it made you see something you were avoiding. Share it with someone who keeps getting controlled by the word good. Subscribe to get the next layer of the game. If this hit you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments to mark the day your mindset changed. Now close the tab and walk back into your life with a different posture. Stop being trained. Start being the standard. Speak less. Hold the frame. Let your silence do the work. This is who you are now.